Since today is Thanksgiving, I find it appropriate to speak on the fattest character in A Song of Ice and Fire, Lord Wyman Manderly. Also, one of the most interesting characters in A Song of Ice and Fire. Recently I made a video on Doran Martell, detailing my frustrations with the character, and Wyman Manderly is very much the northern equivalent to Doran Martell. A man that has been biding his time, a man that has been waiting, and a man whose time to strike is now. Now, there have been many videos made on Wyman Manderly on this app, and they're fantastic. So if you want a detailed breakdown of the character, the things that he has said, the lore behind the House Manderly, I would very much recommend checking out Crusader Chris's video that was made 2 years ago, and Fantasy Haven's video. They're both fantastic, and I don't just want to repeat what they have said, but worse, because their videos are great. Today, I really want to hone in on the aspect of Wyman Manderly's character that I really like the best. That being the fact that he is a northern version of Doran Martell, and the way in which he takes agency back in his own story. Wyman Manderly is a character that is being spit on and stepped on by House Lannister for a while now. He pledges his loyalty to the Starks, he gives Robb Stark men, his children are murdered, they are abducted, and he loses everything in the process. But regardless of how much he loses, he still has to give more in order to keep the one son alive that he still has, who's currently held captive by the Lannisters. He has spies in his own house, he can't even use the bathroom without being watched, and he has to be very careful with what he says and who he speaks to in order for the Lannisters to not be made aware of what he is doing and for his treason to come about to be true. But with that being said, he still finds a way to do it, and in the later half of A Dance with Dragons, he happens to be one of the most interesting characters in the entire book. We find out in Davos 4 that Wyman Manderly has been lying this whole time. He is not in line with the Freys, he is not in line with the Lannisters, he's just keeping up a mummer's farce, a lie that way his son will not be killed. But behind closed doors, he has made this grand plan to get Rickon from Skagos, return him to the north, and crown him the new king. He is going to be funding a war using Rickon Stark as the headpiece, when he's really the player behind all of it. My son Wendell came to the twins as a guest. He ate Lord Walder's bread and salt, and hung his sword upon the wall to feast with friends. And they murdered him. Murdered, I say, and may the Freys choke upon their fables. I drink with Jared, jape with Simon, promise Rhaegar the hand of my own beloved granddaughter. But never think that means I have forgotten. The North remembers, Lord Davos. The North remembers, and the mummer's farce is almost done. My son is home. That quote, and alongside what happens in Theon 1 Dance with Dragons, highlights my favorite part of Wyman Manderly. Wyman is a character that doesn't forget. A Storm of Swords takes place 2 books before A Dance with Dragons, and the Red Wedding just feels very far away in the current story due to the fact that the books have taken so long to release. But the Red Wedding still happened pretty recently in the actual Song of Ice and Fire universe, so I really enjoy the fact that a character is still hellbent on avenging the Red Wedding and remembers what House Frey did to the Starks. I also love the aspect of Wyman Manderly's character where he respects guest right, and his whole vengeance on the Freys and the Lannisters revolves around the fact that they had an oath, broke that oath, and corrupted this idea that is a foundation of the A Song of Ice and Fire world itself. Now, Wyman Manderly is described as being so fat that he can't even sit a horse. He can hardly move, he can hardly go to the bathroom. This guy is gigantic. I would argue he is probably even bigger than Illyrio, and probably the fattest character in the A Song of Ice and Fire universe. And this, while just funny at first, actually becomes relevant at the end of the story in A Dance with Dragons. So there are a few Freys that are riding in Wyman Manderly's camp, and shortly before Ramsay Bolton's marriage to Jane Poole, they go missing and no one knows where they were. And then, at the wedding, Wyman serves these gigantic pies, and he is just loving them. He has multiple slices. 3 great wedding pies, as wide across as wagon wheels, their flaky crusts stuffed to bursting with carrots, onions, turnips, parsnips, and mushrooms, and chunks of seasoned pork swimming in savory brown gravy. Ramsay hacked off slices, and Wyman Manderly himself served, presenting the first steaming portion to Roose Bolton and his fat Frey wife, the next to Sir Hostine and Sir Aenys, the sons of Walder Frey. "The best pie you could have ever tasted, my lords," the fat lord declared. "Wash it down with arbor gold, and savor every bite. I know I shall." True to his word, Wyman devoured 6 portions, 2 from each of the 3 pies, smacking his lips and slapping his belly and stuffing himself until the front of his tunic was half brown with gravy stains and his beard was flecked with crumbs of crust. Now, it's important to note that there is a very good theory in A Song of Ice and Fire that whenever arbor gold is mentioned or present, someone is lying. And I find it very interesting that Wyman Manderly tells them to wash it down with arbor gold, implying that in some capacity he is lying to them right now. Not only that, but the fact that he chooses to serve it to Roose Bolton and then a bunch of high-up Freys shows that he is being very intentional with his targets. But there's more. "No taste for pork pie, my lord? The best pork pie we ever tasted, our fat friends would have us believe." She gestured toward Lord Manderly with her wine cup. "Have you ever seen a fat man so happy? He is almost dancing, serving with his own hands." It was true, the Lord of White Harbor was the very picture of a jolly fat man, laughing and smiling, japing with the other lords, and slapping them on the back, calling out to the musicians for this tune or that tune. And then he says this. He is so drunk that he has 4 strong men help him out of the hall, and then he requests that the singer sing a song about the rat cook. And for those of you that don't know, the rat cook is a legendary story about a cook who serves his lord's own children to him, hidden in a pie. It's a story about cannibalism. And in this moment, Wyman Manderly has most definitely turned the Freys into pies and fed them to their relatives as a sick and twisted way to get back at them for the Red Wedding. I also believe this is where D&D got the idea for Arya Stark to serve Freys to the Freys. Now, unfortunately, later on in A Dance with Dragons, Wyman Manderly is seriously injured when a bunch of his chins are cut by a Bolton man. And unfortunately, as it stands right now, the future for Wyman Manderly is unknown, considering we don't have the Winds of Winter, and there isn't any confirmation on his state at the end of A Dance with Dragons. But with all that being said, he is definitely one of my favorite characters in the story, and without a doubt, the fattest. With all that being said, if you've made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. Please let me know in the comment section down below what kind of videos you want to see from the channel in the future, what you think about this video, and thank you to my Patreons. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Peace.